Let's get ready for the Nebraska real estate exam with 100 questions covering key state laws, principles, and practices you'll need to know. And keep an eye on the bottom corner. There's something there that could make a big difference in your prep. We'll tell you how to use it in just a minute. Now let's get started.
Let's jump right into basic licensing requirements. Nebraska licensing requirements and procedures. What is the minimum age requirement to apply for a real estate license in Nebraska? Is it A, 16 years old, B, 18 years old, C, 19 years old, or D, 21 years old? The answer is C, 19 years old. In Nebraska, an applicant must be at least 19 years old to apply for a real estate license. This requirement ensures that applicants have reached the age of majority and can legally enter into contracts. How many hours of pre-license education are required for a real estate salesperson license in Nebraska? Is it A, 40 hours, B, 66 hours, C, 90 hours, or D, 120 hours? The answer is B, 66 hours. Nebraska mandates 66 hours of pre-license education for aspiring real estate salespersons. This education covers essential real estate principles and laws necessary for the practice.
Have you noticed the code in the bottom corner? Next time you're stumped, take that code to birdsy.ai for immediate help and a free study session with Birdsy, your personal AI study partner. Plus, you'll get access to hundreds of additional questions, helping you move closer to passing your exam with confidence. The next time you're feeling unsure or stuck, give it a try.
Which of the following is a requirement to renew a real estate license in Nebraska? Is it A, complete continuing education, B, pass a renewal exam, C, submit a new application, or D, obtain a new background check? The answer is A, complete continuing education. To renew a real estate license in Nebraska, licensees must complete continuing education courses. This ensures that professionals stay updated on industry changes and maintain competency. What is the maximum number of times a candidate can attempt the Nebraska real estate licensing exam within a year? Is it A, 2 times, B, 3 times, C, 4 times, or D, unlimited? The answer is B, 3 times. In Nebraska, candidates can attempt the real estate licensing exam up to 3 times within a year. This policy encourages candidates to adequately prepare before each attempt. Continuing education requirements. What is the minimum number of continuing education hours required for a real estate license renewal in Nebraska? Is it A, 12 hours, B, 18 hours, C, 24 hours, or D, 30 hours? The answer is B, 18 hours. Nebraska requires real estate licensees to complete 18 hours of continuing education every 2 years, including mandatory courses on ethics and agency. This ensures that professionals remain up to date with current laws and practices. Which of the following topics is mandatory in Nebraska's continuing education for real estate licensees? Is it A, ethics, B, property management, C, real estate investment, or D, home staging? The answer is A, ethics. Ethics is a mandatory topic in Nebraska's continuing education curriculum, ensuring that real estate professionals adhere to high ethical standards in their practice. How often must a Nebraska real estate licensee complete their continuing education requirements? Is it A, annually, B, every 3 years, C, biennially, or D, quarterly? The answer is C, biennially. Nebraska requires real estate licensees to complete their continuing education requirements biennially or every 2 years to ensure ongoing professional development and compliance with state regulations. What is the consequence of failing to complete continuing education requirements by the renewal deadline in Nebraska? Is it A, a fine of $500, B, mandatory additional coursework, C, a temporary reduction in commission rates, or D, license suspension or revocation? The answer is D, license suspension or revocation. Failure to complete continuing education by the renewal deadline can result in suspension or revocation of the real estate license, preventing the licensee from legally conducting real estate transactions. Let's continue with a review of Nebraska real estate laws and regulations. Nebraska-Specific fair housing laws. Which of the following actions is prohibited under Nebraska's fair housing laws? Is it A, offering discounts to first-time buyers, B, refusing to rent to someone based on their national origin, C, requiring a security deposit from tenants, or D, advertising a property as pet-friendly? The answer is B, refusing to rent to someone based on their national origin. Nebraska's fair housing laws prohibit discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and national origin, among other categories. What is a protected class under Nebraska's fair housing laws? Is it A, pet owners, B, students, C, familial status, or D, smokers? The answer is C, familial status. Protected classes under Nebraska's fair housing laws include race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and national origin, ensuring equal housing opportunities for these groups. What must a landlord avoid to comply with Nebraska's fair housing laws? Is it A, charging higher rent to families with children, B, conducting background checks on all tenants, C, setting quiet hours for all tenants, or D, offering rent incentives for early payment? The answer is A, charging higher rent to families with children. Landlords must avoid discriminatory practices, such as imposing different terms or conditions based on a person's protected class, to comply with Nebraska's fair housing laws. Under Nebraska fair housing laws, which statement about advertising a rental property is true? Is it A, it is acceptable to advertise adults-only properties, B, advertisements can specify Christian tenants preferred, C, properties can be advertised as ideal for single professionals, or D, advertisements must not indicate preferences based on protected classes? The answer is D, advertisements must not indicate preferences based on protected classes. Advertisements must not indicate a preference or limitation based on protected classes, ensuring equal opportunity for all prospective tenants. Which scenario is an example of a violation of Nebraska's fair housing laws? Is it A, refusing to rent to a tenant because of their disability, B, requiring a credit check for all applicants, C, offering a discount for long-term leases, or D, prohibiting smoking inside rental units? The answer is A, refusing to rent to a tenant because of their disability. Refusing to rent based on a tenant's disability is a violation of fair housing laws, which protect individuals with disabilities from discrimination. Under Nebraska fair housing laws, how should a landlord handle a request for a reasonable accommodation from a tenant with a disability? Is it A, deny the request immediately, B, charge an additional fee for the accommodation, C, evaluate the request for feasibility, or D, ignore the request? The answer is C, evaluate the request for feasibility. Landlords in Nebraska must consider reasonable accommodations for tenants with disabilities, provided the request does not impose undue financial or administrative burdens or fundamentally alter the nature of the housing program.
If you're finding this helpful, please take a minute to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, useful tips, and complimentary study sessions with Birdsy.
Nebraska-specific contract requirements. What is a required element for a real estate contract to be enforceable under Nebraska law? Is it A, a verbal agreement, B, a handshake, C, a legal description of the property, or D, a witness signature? The answer is C, a legal description of the property. In Nebraska, a real estate contract must include a legal description of the property, which uniquely identifies the property and ensures clarity in the transaction. Under Nebraska real estate law, what is the primary purpose of the lead-based paint disclosure? Is it A, to inform buyers of potential lead hazards, B, to guarantee the absence of lead in the property, C, to provide a warranty on paint quality, or D, to confirm recent renovations? The answer is A, to inform buyers of potential lead hazards. The lead-based paint disclosure is required to inform buyers or renters of potential lead exposure, protecting public health, especially for homes built before 1978. What is the minimum requirement for earnest money deposits in Nebraska real estate transactions? Is it A, 10% of the purchase price, B, negotiated between buyer and seller, C, a fixed amount of $1,000, or D, at least $500? The answer is B, negotiated between buyer and seller. Nebraska law does not mandate a specific amount for earnest money deposits. The amount is typically negotiated between buyer and seller. Which party is responsible for ensuring the accuracy of property disclosures in Nebraska? Is it A, the real estate agent, B, the home inspector, C, the buyer, or D, the seller? The answer is D, the seller. In Nebraska, sellers are legally responsible for providing accurate property disclosures, ensuring buyers are informed of any material defects or issues. In Nebraska, what is the purpose of the as-is clause in a real estate contract? Is it A, to guarantee property improvements, B, to provide a warranty on the property, C, to sell the property in its current condition, or D, to negotiate future repairs? The answer is C, to sell the property in its current condition. The as-is clause indicates that the buyer accepts the property in its current condition, assuming responsibility for any defects without expecting repairs from the seller. Which document is required to be included in a Nebraska real estate transaction to ensure compliance with the Truth in Lending Act? Is it A, property condition disclosure, B, loan estimate, C, purchase agreement, or D, title insurance policy? The answer is B, loan estimate. The Truth in Lending Act requires the inclusion of a loan estimate to inform borrowers of key loan terms and costs. This ensures transparency and helps consumers make informed decisions. Overview of Nebraska real estate statutes. What is the primary regulatory body overseeing real estate activities in Nebraska? Is it A, Nebraska Real Estate Commission, B, Nebraska Department of Revenue, C, Nebraska Housing Authority, or D, Nebraska Board of Realtors? The answer is A, Nebraska Real Estate Commission. The Nebraska Real Estate Commission is responsible for regulating and overseeing real estate activities in the state, ensuring compliance with laws and protecting public interest. Which of the following is required for an individual to obtain a real estate license in Nebraska? Is it A, owning property in Nebraska, B, passing a state-approved real estate exam, C, having a degree in real estate, or D, completing an internship with a licensed broker? The answer is B, passing a state-approved real estate exam. Passing a state-approved real estate exam is mandatory to demonstrate knowledge of Nebraska real estate laws and practices before obtaining a license. How often must a real estate license be renewed in Nebraska? Is it A, annually, B, every 3 years, C, every 2 years, or D, every 5 years? The answer is C, every 2 years. In Nebraska, real estate licenses must be renewed every 2 years to ensure ongoing compliance with educational and professional standards. What is the consequence of practicing real estate in Nebraska without a valid license? Is it A, a warning letter, B, mandatory training, C, license suspension, or D, fines and legal penalties? The answer is D, fines and legal penalties. Practicing real estate without a license is illegal and can lead to fines, legal action, and other penalties to enforce compliance with state laws. Let's continue with the review of Nebraska property ownership and land use. Types of property ownership: fee simple, leasehold, joint tenancy. What type of property ownership in Nebraska allows an individual to have the most complete form of ownership, including unlimited duration and transferability? Is it A, fee simple, B, leasehold, C, joint tenancy, or D, tenancy in common? The answer is A, fee simple. Fee simple ownership is the most complete form of ownership, providing the owner with unlimited duration and the ability to transfer the property freely without restrictions. In Nebraska, which form of ownership involves 2 or more people owning a property with equal rights but allows for the property to pass to the surviving owner upon death? Is it A, fee simple, B, tenancy in common, C, joint tenancy, or D, leasehold? The answer is C, joint tenancy. Joint tenancy includes the right of survivorship, meaning if one owner dies, their share automatically passes to the surviving owner without probate. Which type of property ownership in Nebraska allows multiple owners to have unequal shares and the ability to transfer their share independently? Is it A, joint tenancy, B, tenancy in common, C, fee simple, or D, leasehold? The answer is B, tenancy in common. Tenancy in common allows owners to hold unequal shares and transfer their interest independently, unlike joint tenancy, which requires equal shares. What type of property ownership in Nebraska is characterized by a tenant's right to occupy land or property for a specified period, typically under a lease agreement? Is it A, fee simple, B, joint tenancy, C, tenancy in common, or D, leasehold? The answer is D, leasehold. Leasehold refers to a tenant's right to use and occupy land or property for a limited time as specified in a lease agreement without ownership. In Nebraska, which property ownership type allows the property to bypass probate and directly transfer to the surviving owner upon the death of one of the owners? Is it A, fee simple, B, tenancy in common, C, joint tenancy, or D, leasehold? The answer is C, joint tenancy. Joint tenancy includes the right of survivorship, allowing property to transfer directly to surviving owners without going through probate. Public versus private land use controls. Which of the following is a public land use control in Nebraska? Is it A, restrictive covenants, B, zoning ordinances, C, easements, or D, deed restrictions? The answer is B, zoning ordinances. Zoning ordinances are a form of public land use control that regulate the use of land and structures within designated areas, ensuring orderly development and compatibility of land uses. What is the primary purpose of Nebraska's comprehensive land use plans? Is it A, to guide long-term development, B, to enforce building codes, C, to regulate land sales, or D, to limit property taxes? The answer is A, to guide long-term development. Comprehensive land use plans aim to guide long-term development, balancing growth with environmental preservation and community needs, ensuring sustainable land use in Nebraska. How do private land use controls differ from public land use controls in Nebraska? Is it A, They are enforced by local governments. B. They include zoning ordinances. C. They are established by property owners. Or D. They override public land use regulations. The answer is C. They are established by property owners. Private land use controls are imposed by property owners or developers, such as through covenants, while public controls are established by government entities, like zoning laws. What role do zoning boards play in Nebraska's land use controls? Is it A. They draft zoning laws. B. They manage property sales. C. They enforce building codes. Or D. They review land use proposals. The answer is D. They review land use proposals. Zoning boards review and approve land use proposals, ensuring compliance with zoning laws and considering variances or special exceptions in Nebraska. Which of the following is an example of a variance in Nebraska's land use controls? Is it A. Implementing a new zoning district? B. Allowing a building closer to the property line? C. Changing the use of a property from residential to commercial? Or D. Establishing a historic preservation area? The answer is B. Allowing a building closer to the property line. A variance allows for an exception to zoning laws, such as building closer to a property line than normally permitted, due to unique circumstances.
Stuck on a question? Just think of the Birdsy link in the description as your friendly neighborhood superhero, swooping in to save the day with answers. Feel free to explore it now and return to continue. Simply hit pause, and we'll be waiting when you get back.
Land use and zoning laws. What is the primary purpose of zoning laws in Nebraska? Is it A. To increase property taxes? B. To protect natural resources? C. To regulate land use and development? Or D. To manage public transportation? The answer is C. To regulate land use and development. Zoning laws in Nebraska primarily regulate land use to ensure orderly development, protect property values, and promote public welfare by separating incompatible land uses, such as industrial and residential areas. Which body typically enforces zoning regulations in Nebraska municipalities? Is it A. State government? B. Local planning commissions? C. Federal government? Or D. Homeowners associations? The answer is B. Local planning commissions. Zoning regulations in Nebraska municipalities are typically enforced by local planning commissions, which ensure compliance with local zoning ordinances and manage land use planning. What is a variance in the context of Nebraska zoning laws? Is it A. A legal exception to zoning ordinances? B. A change in property ownership? C. A temporary zoning classification? Or D. An increase in property taxes? The answer is A. A legal exception to zoning ordinances. A variance in Nebraska zoning laws is a legal exception that allows property owners to use their land in a way that deviates from the zoning ordinance due to unique circumstances. How can a property owner challenge a zoning decision in Nebraska? Is it A. By filing a lawsuit in federal court? B. By contacting the state governor? C. By petitioning the city council directly? Or D. By appealing to the Zoning Board of Appeals? The answer is D. By appealing to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Property owners in Nebraska can challenge zoning decisions by appealing to the local Zoning Board of Appeals, which reviews the decision and determines if it was made in accordance with zoning laws. What is the role of a comprehensive plan in Nebraska land use planning? Is it A. To enforce zoning laws? B. To guide future development and land use? C. To increase property values? Or D. To manage local elections? The answer is B. To guide future development and land use. A comprehensive plan in Nebraska serves as a policy guide for future development and land use aligning zoning regulations with community goals and ensuring sustainable growth over time. How does Nebraska law define a non-conforming use in zoning? Is it A, a use that is prohibited by current zoning laws? B, a temporary use permitted by a special permit? C, a use that was legal before zoning changes but no longer complies? Or D, a use that is exempt from zoning regulations? The answer is C, a use that was legal before zoning changes but no longer complies. A non-conforming use refers to a property use that was legally established but no longer complies with current zoning regulations due to changes in the law. Condominiums and HOAs. In Nebraska, which governing document typically outlines the rules and responsibilities for a condominium association? Is it A, Articles of Incorporation, B, Declaration of Condominium, C, Bylaws, or D, Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions? The answer is B, Declaration of Condominium. The Declaration of Condominium is a legal document that establishes the existence of a condominium and outlines the rights and responsibilities of the owners and the association. What is the primary role of a homeowners association in a Nebraska condominium community? Is it A, to provide legal advice to residents, B, to manage individual unit sales, C, to manage and maintain common areas, or D, to set property tax rates? The answer is C, to manage and maintain common areas. The primary role of an HOA is to manage and maintain common areas, enforce community rules, and ensure compliance with the community's governing documents. Which of the following is a common responsibility of condominium owners in Nebraska? Is it A, maintaining the interior of their units, B, maintaining the exterior of the building, C, managing the community pool, or D, setting fees? The answer is A, maintaining the interior of their units. Condominium owners are typically responsible for maintaining the interior of their units, which includes repairs and upkeep of appliances and fixtures. How are special assessments typically approved in a Nebraska condominium association? Is it A, by the property manager, B, by the board president alone, C, by a unanimous vote of all residents, or D, by a vote of the association members? The answer is D, by a vote of the association members. Special assessments are usually approved by a vote of the association members, often requiring a majority or supermajority depending on the governing documents. Environmental issues and agricultural land use. What is the primary purpose of Nebraska's Conservation Reserve Program in agricultural land use? Is it A, to increase crop yield, B, to promote urban development, C, to improve environmental quality, or D, to expand agricultural exports? The answer is C, to improve environmental quality. The CRP aims to reduce soil erosion, improve water quality, and enhance wildlife habitat by encouraging farmers to convert environmentally sensitive land into conservation reserves. Which Nebraska law regulates the use of groundwater for irrigation purposes? Is it A, Nebraska Groundwater Management and Protection Act, B, Nebraska Clean Water Act, C, Nebraska Soil Conservation Act, or D, Nebraska Water Rights Act? The answer is A, Nebraska Groundwater Management and Protection Act. The Nebraska Groundwater Management and Protection Act regulates groundwater use, ensuring sustainable management and protecting water resources for agricultural and other uses. What is the role of the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy in regulating agricultural land use? Is it A, to provide agricultural subsidies, B, to enforce property tax laws, C, to manage land ownership disputes, or D, to enforce environmental regulations? The answer is D, to enforce environmental regulations. The department oversees environmental laws, ensuring that agricultural practices comply with regulations to protect air, water, and soil quality in Nebraska. How does Nebraska's Right to Farm Act protect agricultural operations? Is it A, by providing tax incentives, B, by shielding from nuisance lawsuits, C, by promoting organic farming, or D, by regulating pesticide use? The answer is B, by shielding from nuisance lawsuits. The Act protects farmers from nuisance lawsuits, allowing them to continue traditional farming practices even if urban development encroaches on rural areas. Let's continue with Nebraska agency law and ethics. Agency relationship laws. In Nebraska, which of the following is a key characteristic of an agency relationship in real estate transactions? Is it A, the agent acts as a neutral party, B, the agent's primary duty is to the buyer, C, the agent must act in the best interests of the principal, or D, the agent is only responsible for financial transactions? The answer is C, the agent must act in the best interests of the principal. An agency relationship in Nebraska real estate is characterized by the agent's fiduciary duty to act in the best interests of the principal, including loyalty, confidentiality, and full disclosure. Which of the following duties is not typically owed by a real estate agent to their principal under Nebraska agency law? Is it A, loyalty, B, confidentiality, C, full disclosure, or D, providing legal advice? The answer is D, providing legal advice. In Nebraska, a real estate agent owes duties such as loyalty and confidentiality to their principal, but does not owe the duty of providing legal advice, which is outside their professional scope. What is the primary purpose of the Nebraska Brokerage Relationships in Real Estate Transactions Act? Is it A, to clarify relationships between brokers and clients, B, to regulate commission rates, C, to mandate dual agency in all transactions, or D, to eliminate the need for written agreements? The answer is A, to clarify relationships between brokers and clients. The Act aims to clarify the relationships between real estate brokers and their clients, ensuring transparency and understanding of the roles and obligations involved in transactions. Under Nebraska law, when must a real estate agent disclose their agency relationship to a prospective buyer? Is it A, after the buyer signs a purchase agreement, B, at the first substantial contact, C, during the property closing, or D, only if the buyer requests it? The answer is B, at the first substantial contact. Nebraska law requires that an agent disclose their agency relationship to a prospective buyer at the first substantial contact to ensure transparency and trust in the transaction.
Don't forget to comment below with your tips, challenges, and thoughts on exam preparation. Your experiences can make a big difference for others.
Fiduciary duties and client representation. Under Nebraska agency law, which fiduciary duty requires an agent to act in the best interests of their client at all times? Is it A, confidentiality, B, loyalty, C, disclosure, or D, obedience? The answer is B, loyalty. The duty of loyalty obligates agents to prioritize their clients' interests above all others, including their own, ensuring that their actions benefit the client. What is the primary fiduciary duty breached if a Nebraska real estate agent shares a client's confidential financial information without consent? Is it A, confidentiality, B, loyalty, C, reasonable care, or D, accounting? The answer is A, confidentiality. The duty of confidentiality is breached when an agent discloses a client's private information without consent, which can harm the client's interests and trust. Which fiduciary duty requires Nebraska agents to provide all relevant information to their clients, even if it may not seem favorable? Is it A, obedient, B, loyalty, C, disclosure, or D, confidentiality? The answer is C, disclosure. The duty of disclosure mandates agents to inform clients of all material facts that could affect their decision-making, ensuring informed consent. In Nebraska, which fiduciary duty obliges an agent to follow all lawful instructions from their client? Is it A, B, disclosure, C, confidentiality, or D, obedience? The answer is D, obedience. The duty of obedience requires agents to adhere to their client's lawful instructions, as long as these do not violate any laws or ethical standards. Nebraska Ethics Guidelines and Enforcement. What is the primary purpose of the Nebraska Ethics Guidelines in real estate practice? Is it A, to increase sales for real estate agents, B, to provide marketing strategies for agents, C, to uphold integrity and public trust in the industry, or D, to simplify real estate transactions? The answer is C, to uphold integrity and public trust in the industry. The Nebraska Ethics Guidelines aim to ensure that real estate professionals act with integrity, fairness, and accountability, thereby maintaining public trust and confidence in the real estate industry. Which of the following actions could lead to disciplinary measures under Nebraska Ethics Guidelines? Is it A, accidentally misplacing a client's document, B, engaging in fraudulent misrepresentation of property details, C, providing a referral to another agent, or D, using personal social media for business promotion? The answer is B, engaging in fraudulent misrepresentation of property details. Disciplinary measures can result from actions such as misrepresentation, fraud, or any conduct that violates the ethical standards set forth by Nebraska real estate regulations. How are ethical complaints against real estate agents in Nebraska typically handled? Is it A, ignored unless they involve criminal activity, B, resolved directly between the agent and the complainant, C, handled by the local real estate board without state involvement, or D, investigated by the Nebraska Real Estate Commission? The answer is D, investigated by the Nebraska Real Estate Commission. Ethical complaints are reviewed by the Nebraska Real Estate Commission, which investigates and determines if there is a violation warranting disciplinary action, ensuring due process and fairness. What is a key ethical obligation for Nebraska real estate agents when dealing with clients? Is it A, acting in the best interest of their clients, B, maximizing their commission on every transaction, C, ensuring all transactions are completed within a week, or D, keeping all client information confidential indefinitely? The answer is A, acting in the best interest of their clients. Real estate agents must prioritize their clients' interests, ensuring they act in a manner that is loyal, transparent, and beneficial to the client, above their own personal gain.
Notice the code in the corner? When you're stumped by a question, enter it at birdsy.ai for immediate help. Enjoy complimentary study sessions and access to hundreds of additional questions to help you pass your exam with confidence.
Now we'll test your knowledge of Nebraska property valuation. Basic principles of property valuation. Which principle of property valuation emphasizes that a property's value is influenced by the cost of acquiring an equivalent property? Is it A, principle of contribution, B, principle of substitution, C, principle of anticipation, or D, principle of conformity? The answer is B, principle of substitution. The substitution principle states that a property's value is determined by the cost of acquiring an equivalent substitute property. It is fundamental in appraisals and helps set market prices. What principle is applied when a property's value is determined based on its ability to generate future income? Is it A, principle of substitution, B, principle of contribution, C, principle of anticipation, or D, principle of balance? The answer is C, principle of anticipation. The principle of anticipation suggests that the value of a property is based on the present worth of future benefits or income that the property will generate. In Nebraska property valuation, which principle suggests that the most profitable use of a property is its highest and best use? Is it A, principle of highest and best use, B, principle of contribution, C, principle of conformity, or D, principle of change? The answer is A, principle of highest and best use. The highest and best use principle states that a property's value is maximized when it is utilized in the most profitable manner that is legally permissible and feasible. Which principle indicates that the value of a property is influenced by the characteristics and conditions of its environment? Is it A, principle of substitution, B, principle of anticipation, C, principle of conformity, or D, principle of balance? The answer is C, principle of conformity. The principle of conformity suggests that a property's value is enhanced when it is in harmony with its surroundings, ensuring compatibility with neighborhood standards and trends. Sales comparison, cost, and income approaches. What is the primary purpose of the sales comparison approach in property valuation? Is it A, to determine the cost of construction, B, to estimate market value using comparable sales, C, to calculate potential rental income, or D, to assess depreciation of the property? The answer is B, to estimate market value using comparable sales. The sales comparison approach estimates property value by comparing it to similar properties recently sold. It's crucial for determining market value based on real-world transactions. Which method is most suitable for valuing a unique, custom-built residential property? Is it A, sales comparison approach, B, income approach, C, cost approach, or D, market analysis approach? The answer is C, cost approach. The cost approach is ideal for unique properties where comparable sales are scarce, focusing on reproduction or replacement cost minus depreciation. In the income approach, what is the capitalization rate used for? Is it A, to convert income into an estimate of value, B, to calculate construction costs, C, to assess property depreciation, or D, to compare recent sales? The answer is A, to convert income into an estimate of value. The capitalization rate converts income into an estimate of value by dividing net operating income by the cap rate, reflecting the investor's expected return. What is a key limitation of the cost approach in property valuation? Is it A, it relies on rental income, B, it depends on comparable sales data, C, it requires knowledge of depreciation rates, or D, it may not reflect current market conditions? The answer is D, it may not reflect current market conditions. The cost approach may not reflect current market conditions since it focuses on reproduction costs, making it less reliable in fluctuating real estate markets. Let's take a look at Nebraska real estate financing. Mortgage loans and financing options. What is the primary purpose of a mortgage in the context of Nebraska real estate financing? Is it A, to provide insurance for property damage, B, to allow buyers to borrow money to purchase property, C, to pay property taxes on behalf of the homeowner, or D, to guarantee a fixed interest rate for the life of the loan? The answer is B, to allow buyers to borrow money to purchase property. A mortgage is a legal agreement where a buyer borrows money to purchase property, using the property as collateral It enables buyers to afford homes without paying the full price up front. Which of the following is a common type of mortgage available in Nebraska? Is it A, conventional mortgage, B, balloon mortgage, C, reverse mortgage, or D, bridge loan? The answer is A, conventional mortgage. Conventional mortgages are popular in Nebraska and are not insured by the government. They often require a higher credit score and a down payment. What is a key feature of an adjustable rate mortgage in Nebraska? Is it A, interest rate remains fixed throughout the loan term, B, monthly payments decrease over time, C, interest rate adjusts periodically based on a financial index, or D, loan is only available to first-time homebuyers? The answer is C, interest rate adjusts periodically based on a financial index. An adjustable rate mortgage starts with a fixed interest rate for a set period, then adjusts periodically based on a financial index, which can affect monthly payments. In Nebraska, what is the typical down payment requirement for a conventional mortgage? Is it A, 5%, B, 10%, C, 15%, or D, 20%? The answer is D, 20%. Conventional mortgages in Nebraska typically require a down payment of 20% to avoid private mortgage insurance, though some lenders may accept lower percentages with insurance. Loan applications and approval processes. What is the primary purpose of the good faith estimate in Nebraska loan applications? Is it A, to provide a final loan approval, B, to outline expected loan costs for comparison, C, to verify the borrower's income, or D, to determine the loan's interest rate? The answer is B, to outline expected loan costs for comparison. The good faith estimate is a document provided to borrowers that outlines the expected costs of a loan, ensuring transparency and allowing borrowers to compare offers easily. Which document is essential for verifying a borrower's employment status in Nebraska loan applications? Is it A, good faith estimate, B, loan estimate, C, verification of employment, or D, credit report? The answer is C, verification of employment. The verification of employment is a critical document that lenders use to confirm a borrower's employment status, ensuring their ability to repay the loan. In Nebraska, what role does the appraisal play in the loan approval process? Is it A, it guarantees loan approval, B, it verifies the borrower's income, C, it sets the loan's interest rate, or D, it assesses the property's market value? The answer is D, it assesses the property's market value. An appraisal determines the property's market value, ensuring the loan amount is appropriate and the lender's risk is minimized by not overlending. How does a borrower's credit score impact the loan approval process in Nebraska? Is it A, it affects approval likelihood and loan terms, B, it solely determines the loan's interest rate, C, it is not considered in the approval process, or D, it determines the property's value? The answer is A, it affects approval likelihood and loan terms. A borrower's credit score is crucial as it indicates creditworthiness, affecting the likelihood of approval and the terms of the loan, including interest rates. Nebraska mortgage disclosure requirements. What is the primary purpose of the Nebraska mortgage disclosure requirements? Is it A, to increase the state's revenue from real estate transactions, B, to enhance transparency and provide borrowers with essential information, C, to simplify the mortgage application process for lenders, or D, to mandate uniform interest rates across all mortgage lenders? The answer is B, to enhance transparency and provide borrowers with essential information. The Nebraska mortgage disclosure requirements aim to ensure transparency by providing borrowers with clear and comprehensive information about their mortgage terms and costs, helping them make informed decisions. Which document is specifically required under Nebraska mortgage disclosure requirements to inform borrowers about their right to receive a copy of the appraisal? Is it A, closing disclosure, B, mortgage note, C, loan estimate, or D, deed of trust? The answer is C, loan estimate. The right to receive a copy of the appraisal is disclosed in the loan estimate, which informs borrowers of their rights and provides a summary of key loan terms. Under Nebraska law, when must the closing disclosure be provided to the borrower? Is it A, at least 3 business days before loan consummation, B, at the time of loan application, C, 1 day before loan consummation, or D, after the loan is funded? The answer is A, at least 3 business days before loan consummation. The closing disclosure must be provided at least 3 business days before consummation of the loan, allowing borrowers time to review the final terms and costs. What information must be included in the loan estimate under Nebraska mortgage disclosure requirements? Is it A, the borrower's credit score, B, the lender's profit margin, C, the property's appraised value, or D, loan terms, projected payments, and estimated closing costs? The answer is D, loan terms, projected payments, and estimated closing costs. The loan estimate must include the loan terms, projected payments, and estimated closing costs to provide borrowers with a comprehensive overview of their mortgage obligations. Nebraska-Specific loan programs. Which Nebraska-specific loan program is designed to assist first-time homebuyers with down payment and closing cost assistance? Is it A, Nebraska Homeowner Assistance Fund, B, Nebraska Affordable Housing Trust Fund, C, Nebraska Mortgage Assistance Program, or D, Nebraska Housing Development Loan Program? The answer is B, Nebraska Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The Nebraska Affordable Housing Trust Fund provides down payment and closing cost assistance to first-time homebuyers. This program aims to make homeownership more accessible to low and moderate income families. What is the primary purpose of the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority in the context of housing? Is it A, to provide affordable housing financing options, B, to regulate real estate agents, C, to manage property taxes, or D, to oversee construction permits? The answer is A, to provide affordable housing financing options. NIFA's primary purpose is to provide affordable housing options through financing programs, including first-time homebuyer loans and rental housing development. It plays a crucial role in Nebraska's housing market. Which program offers Nebraska residents the opportunity to purchase homes in rural areas with no down payment? Is it A, Nebraska Urban Housing Initiative, B, Nebraska State Housing Finance Agency Loan, C, USDA Rural Development Loan, or D, Nebraska Down Payment Assistance Program? The answer is C, USDA Rural Development Loan. The USDA Rural Development Loan Program allows eligible Nebraska residents to purchase homes in rural areas with no down payment, promoting homeownership in less populated regions. How does the Nebraska Homeowner Assistance Fund primarily assist eligible homeowners? Is it A, by offering low-interest home improvement loans, B, by providing grants for new home purchases, C, by reducing property tax obligations, or D, by covering mortgage and utility payments? The answer is D, by covering mortgage and utility payments. The Nebraska Homeowner Assistance Fund provides financial relief to homeowners facing hardships due to the COVID-19 pandemic, helping them avoid foreclosure by covering mortgage and utility payments. Nebraska Investment Finance Authority. What is the primary purpose of the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority? Is it A, to provide financing for affordable housing and development projects. B. To regulate insurance companies operating in Nebraska. C. To manage the state's pension funds. Or D. To oversee agricultural subsidies in Nebraska. The answer is A. To provide financing for affordable housing and development projects. NIFA is designed to provide financing for affordable housing and other development projects in Nebraska. It aims to enhance the quality of life by supporting economic development and community growth. Which type of bond is commonly issued by a NIFA to support housing projects? Is it A. Corporate bonds, B. Tax-exempt bonds, C. Municipal bonds, or D. Convertible bonds? The answer is B. Tax-exempts. NIFA issues tax-exempt bonds to fund affordable housing projects. These bonds provide lower interest rates, making financing more accessible for developers and benefiting low to moderate income families. How does NIFA support first-time homebuyers in Nebraska? Is it A. By offering free home insurance policies, B. By providing free financial counseling services, C. By offering down payment assistance and favorable loan terms, or D. By guaranteeing all home loans? The answer is C. By offering down payment assistance and favorable loan terms. NIFA offers programs such as down payment assistance and favorable loan terms to first-time homebuyers. These initiatives make homeownership more attainable by reducing upfront costs and monthly payments. What is a key benefit of NIFA's multifamily housing programs? Is it A. Increased property taxes for developers, B. Exclusive luxury housing developments, C. Higher rental prices for tenants, or D. Increased availability of affordable rental housing? The answer is D. Increased availability of affordable rental housing. NIF's multifamily housing programs provide financing that helps develop affordable rental housing. This increases the availability of low-cost housing options for families in Nebraska, supporting community stability and growth. Let's continue with a look at Nebraska disclosure requirements and forms. Nebraska-specific disclosure requirements. Which of the following is required as part of the Nebraska Seller Property Condition Disclosure Statement? Is it A. Material defects known to the seller, B. The seller's original purchase price, C. The seller's reason for selling, or D. The property's assessed tax value? The answer is A. Material defects known to the seller. The Nebraska Seller Property Condition Disclosure Statement requires sellers to disclose any known material defects in the property. This ensures that buyers are fully informed about potential issues before purchasing. What is the purpose of the lead-based paint disclosure in Nebraska real estate transactions? Is it A. To provide the buyer with a detailed history of renovations, B. To inform buyers about potential lead hazards in homes built before 1978, C. To disclose the presence of asbestos, or D. To ensure the buyer is aware of any pest infestations? The answer is B. To inform buyers about potential lead hazards in homes built before 1978. The lead-based paint disclosure is required for properties built before 1978 to inform buyers about potential lead hazards. This helps prevent lead poisoning, especially in children, by ensuring buyers are aware of any risks. When must a Nebraska real estate agent provide the agency disclosure form to a potential client? Is it A. After the first property showing, B. At the time of making an offer, C. When the client signs a contract, or D. At the first substantial contact with the client? The answer is D. At the first substantial contact with the client. The agency disclosure form must be presented at the first substantial contact with a client. This ensures the client understands the agent's role and any potential conflicts of interest from the outset. What information must be included in a Nebraska property disclosure statement regarding water and sewage systems? Is it A, the history of water usage on the property, B, the cost of recent water bills, C, the type and condition of water and sewage systems, or D, the property's proximity to public water lines? The answer is C, the type and condition of water and sewage systems. The disclosure must include details about the property's water source and sewage system. This helps buyers assess potential issues with water supply or sewage disposal before purchasing. Commonly used Nebraska forms. Which form is commonly used in Nebraska to disclose material defects in a property? Is it A, seller property condition disclosure, B, lead-based paint disclosure, C, agency disclosure form, or D, purchase agreement form? The answer is A, seller property condition disclosure. The seller property condition disclosure form is essential in Nebraska for informing potential buyers about any known material defects in a property, ensuring transparency and compliance with state regulations. What is the purpose of the Nebraska Agency Disclosure Form? Is it A, to disclose property defects, B, to outline the terms of a sale, C, to inform clients about agency relationships, or D, to confirm financing options? The answer is C, to inform clients about agency relationships. The Nebraska Agency Disclosure Form is designed to inform clients about the nature of the agency relationship, ensuring that buyers and sellers understand the roles and responsibilities of their real estate agents. When is the lead-based paint disclosure form required in Nebraska? Is it A, for all residential properties, B, for properties built before 1978, C, for commercial properties only, or D, for properties with known defects? The answer is B, for properties built before 1978. The lead-based paint disclosure form is required for properties built before 1978, as these homes may contain lead-based paint, which poses health risks if not properly managed. Which document is essential for outlining the terms and conditions of a real estate transaction in Nebraska? Is it A, seller property condition disclosure, B, agency disclosure form, C, lead-based paint disclosure, or D, purchase agreement form? The answer is D, purchase agreement form. The purchase agreement form is crucial in Nebraska real estate transactions as it details the terms and conditions agreed upon by the buyer and seller, ensuring clarity and legal compliance. Specific procedures for transactions. What is the primary purpose of the Nebraska Agency Disclosure Form in real estate transactions? Is it A, to provide a detailed property inspection report, B, to disclose the types of agency relationships available, C, to outline the financing options for the buyer, or D, to specify the closing date for the transaction? The answer is B, to disclose the types of agency relationships available. The Nebraska Agency Disclosure Form is designed to inform clients about the types of agency relationships available, ensuring transparency and understanding of the agent's role in the transaction. When must a Nebraska real estate agent present the seller property condition disclosure statement? Is it A, immediately after the offer is accepted, B, during the open house, C, before the buyer makes an offer, or D, at the closing table? The answer is C, before the buyer makes an offer. The seller property condition disclosure statement must be presented before the buyer makes an offer, allowing them to make an informed decision based on the property's condition. Which document is necessary for disclosing lead-based paint hazards in Nebraska real estate transactions? Is it A, lead-based paint disclosure form, B, environmental impact assessment, C, radon gas disclosure statement, or D, asbestos hazard report? The answer is A, Lead-Based Paint Disclosure Form. The Lead-Based Paint Disclosure Form is required for properties built before 1978, ensuring buyers are informed of potential lead hazards and can take necessary precautions. What is the role of the Nebraska Purchase Agreement in real estate transactions? Is it A, to list the property on the market, B, to provide a financing plan for the buyer, C, to conduct the title search, or D, to outline the terms of the sale between buyer and seller? The answer is D, to outline the terms of the sale between buyer and seller. The Nebraska Purchase Agreement outlines the terms and conditions of the sale, including price, contingencies, and closing date, serving as a binding contract between buyer and seller.
Thanks for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, tips, and tricks. And don't forget to visit Birdsy.ai for complimentary study sessions with Birdsy, your AI-powered study partner.